Hey guys, so this module is going to be everything about increasing customer value, right? How to create lifetime venue customers, right? So let's get right into it. Now, the great thing about all of this, right? So I'll be referring to my notes, right? So you want to be thinking about how do you go ahead and turn a person from a one-time customer into a lifetime customer, right? Now, why do we want to be doing that, right? You got to think about, remember, every single day and every single week, all the work that you've done to try to get your last customer, right? So think about every call you had to take, right? How many people did you have to bring into an open house? How many of those people told you they were going to be there and never showed up, right? How many people, when you showed the open house, said, hey, I'm going to go shop around and see the best deal, right? They literally told you, hey, I don't really care about you and your value. I'm just looking for the best of my value, right? Natural, that's human nature, right? How many people told you that? How many people said, I'm going to do it, let me come back, right? And never come back, right? And then how many people say, hey, I'm interested, and then don't have enough money, right? And you have to dig and dig and dig and dig to get to that new customer, right? And maybe out of the 10 people that called you, like every single day, you got 10 people calling you to book the space, right? You get 5 people into the room on a Tuesday when you do your open house. Maybe you do your open house every day, right? You do your open house and you get maybe 1, 2, or 3 of those people, right? From all those 100 people or those 50, 60 people that called you to close on a deal, right? And you got to deal with all this bullshit and all these people making excuses and not have enough money and not be qualified, and they want one day and you don't have it, and they only want the weekend, or they can't take this day, and all the stress, right? And they want more for free, and they're trying to negotiate, and they're like, hey, blah, 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 right? All this work that you have to do, right? It takes to acquire a new customer is the most arduous thing you must do in your business. Now, you have to do it, but if you could make the customer worth more, right? So you get one customer, you do all that work, you get $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 from the event, right? And you say, hey, well, I got 3,000 from this one person. It's worth the trouble. Now, if you go ahead and say, well, actually, let me see if I can make this customer worth more. Let me discover ways I can help them spend more. Let me see if I can build such a good relationship between them and my business that the only place they ever think of running any events is here, right? That's your goal. Every single time you bring a customer in, your goal is how many times can I bring them back in, and how many times does it take for me to take this person, have them run the next event, have them participate, have them come into my space. How many times do I need to help them do that for them to only ever do any life events of their major ones with me, right? How long does it take for me to take a person who I've never met before, who just called me to book a time with me, into a person that doesn't even consider you booking a space with anyone else for any of their life events, right? Whether it's related to the first one event or not, right? How do I do that? The key thing here is you want to expose them to your business over and over and over and over again. And you want to ask them for lifetime business. You want to say, hey, we have deals for people who want to book every birthday for the rest of their life, right? You're right. So thinking about how do I increase the lifetime value of the customer? Now, in the event business, you have so many opportunities with this. Why? Because the moment they come in and say, hey, I want to do a 10th birthday for my son, right? Or I want to do a baby shower, or the first birthday, or an anniversary dinner, or whatever event that happens, right? Most of these events happen on a preset timeline, right? If they're having a birthday this year, they're going to have a birthday next year, right? So why don't you make a package that says, hey, because you got your birthday this year, let's go ahead and lock in your next birthday and you get this and such benefit. Right? Now, you actually doubled the value of this customer by doing the same amount of work, right? You still only had to talk to the same number of people over the phone. You still only had to do the same number of open houses with the people, and you still had the same number of people come in and actually book a time with you. But because you thought, how do I increase the value of this customer? You actually said, well, they're already here, they're already spending money with me, and they're already excited. Let me take advantage of that excitement and say, hey, I'm sure it was a big hassle for you to find an event venue. I'm sure you've been on the search for a while, right? I'm sure there was something that was happening, and you know whether that's true because you've been having the conversation with them. Oh, well, since I know how much hassle it was before, let me help you. Because you're booking your birthday with us today, you're booking your dad's 50th birthday with us today, let's go ahead and book in the next 4 or 5 years, right? Perfect. It's your birth, right? Now, what you want to do psychologically, you want to understand how do people make buying decisions and when is the easiest time to ask for more, right? So let's say a person closes with you. When are they the most excited? They're excited the most right after they close with you. Why? Because they just did something. They just accomplished it. They go, oh, we did it. We booked the space. It's going to be great. I can't wait. Right? That's the highest. It's the highest emotion they're going to be at. They're going to be the most excited right there. Take advantage of that. Say, hey, well, congratulations, you got your birthday set up. Let's go ahead and lock in the next 5 years of your birthday. When you put your down payment with us now, we'll make sure that only you can have your birthday on your birthday for the next 5 years, right? Now, some people are going to say, oh, that's great, right? Because remember, the people that you're looking for are not necessarily the people who price is the first thing that they think about. They're thinking about experiences and memories, right? So you say, perfect, put your down payment today. When you put your down payment today, we'll lock in those next 5 years for you. Oh, that's great. Now you've actually taken this customer who was going to spend one birthday with you and maybe make you $1,000, $2,000, or $5,000 for the one event. You've now turned that into a 5 times investment. And you've made them into a customer that is going to be spending at least the next 5 years thinking about you every single time there's a birthday. Plus, you also have a reason to keep reaching out to them. Aha, isn't that great? Now, how else can you maximize that? Think about it from here, right? You get this person, and let's say some of them, maybe 20% of people say, let me lock in this time, right? Everybody else, how do you keep following up? Do you say, oh, well, they didn't take it the first time, so to the hell with them. They're never going to become a lifetime customer, right? Or do you take that route and give up? Or do you look for a way to keep bringing them back in? Maybe you can ask, well, perfect. We have all types of events at our space, right? And you can be thinking about, like we've talked, there's difference between a private event and a public event, right? Private events are family events, and public events are going to be maybe events that are pop-up shops or galleries or different events like that are a little bit more public, right? So you can say, well, what kind of events do you like? These are all the events that we have in this space. Oh, well, I like this and I like this. I wouldn't mind going to this. Well, tell you what, right? Just because you've already booked with us, why don't I go ahead and extend a half off offer, right? For you to visit these events, right? For you to come in and join, right? Whatever price structure makes sense. Maybe you tackle them, hey, just come, pay the full price, right? Or you incentivize them. Hey, come, you have some food. Whatever the deal is, you tell them, hey, I want you to come back into the space. And I want you to come back into the space as many times as possible. Why is that? Because every time they come back into the space, you now have another legitimate reason to bring back the sales conversation to say, hey, because you've enjoyed this event so much, why don't we go ahead and lock in that day so that you can enjoy your birthdays? Or why don't we go ahead and lock in our every special event next year package where we discover all the special events you have next year. We help you organize all of them, and you can put your down payment so that any special event you have within the next 12 months, we will be able to organize them for you, right? Let's take advantage. You see what I mean? And when is going to be the person the most excited? They're going to be most excited right after they buy. And every time they go into your space and they see a beautiful event, that excitement is going to go right back up. And that's, again, the best moment to say, hey, let's go ahead and join, become more, right? And lock in the rest of these days, right? Now, once they've locked in and said, hey, well, let me put a down payment for the rest of my birthdays or the rest of my child's birthdays or the rest of these celebrations or anniversaries, right? You can then say, perfect. You have the capacity to go ahead and prepay it. What? Just prepay it, right? Now, again, you're looking for those people that say, hey, price is not an objection. So that's for some of them, you can say, well, yeah, I'll prepay it, right? And you can give them some kind of deal, maybe, right? Last 2 years are free. Or you give them something that looks like it's very valuable for them, but maybe doesn't cost you anything, right? You say, hey, when you prepay all your events moving forward, you actually get all the rental furniture for free for every event, right? From their perspective, it sounds like they're saving thousands of dollars. From your perspective, you already own the rental furniture. Doesn't cost you anything, right? Doesn't cost you any more to give them the rental furniture. But if it gives you 10 years of events that guaranteed on this specific day for the rest of it forever, and because they're booking all those events, they're probably going to book a bunch of more others, and eventually they're only going to ever book times with you, it's worth it to give them a thing that doesn't cost you anything. But for them, they think, wow, they're giving me all this rental furniture. Usually I'd have to pay $2,000 for this, right? And in your head, you can either think, well, I'm losing $2,000 of revenue every time I give the person the space, the rental furniture, or you can think long-term and say, wow, because I've given this thing that doesn't cost me anything to give it to them, right? I've actually created a lifetime customer that's going to only ever run events with me and going to tell all their friends to run events with me. And I'm probably going to be able to sell their friends on the same package I sell them. And because I'm doing all of this, now I have 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 customers who are lifetime customers who are all already booked for the next 10, 20, 30 years of events at my space. What does that create for you? Equity. You got equity in your place, right? You got to think about the difference between a person that does this and the person that doesn't, right? The person that doesn't do this, their money's going to go like this, right? Slow growth. The person that does this, you're going to have more and more lifetime customers, right? The amount of money you're spending to get a new customer is going to stay the same. The amount of value you get out of every customer is going to grow and grow and grow, right? They're going to be stuck making $1,000 or $5,000 per customer. You're going to be getting $100,000 for every customer. And guess what? If you're going to make $100,000 to bring in a customer, you could probably afford to do a little bit more to make them feel special to only work with you, right? Maybe you say, hey, well, since you did your first birthday with us, when you do the next 10, we'll give you a steak dinner and a romantic night out with you and your husband and your wife, right? Maybe that costs you $200. Is $200 worth it to get a $10,000, $100,000 customer? I think so, right? And if you don't know, if you can't do the math, then, you go back to, you got to do the math, right? The basic algebra, right? You have to think about it. Maybe you're not fit to be running the business if you don't think that investing $200 is worth $100,000 worth back, right? Maybe even if you had to invest $5,000 to get that customer, right? If they're paying you $100,000, it's more than worth it. And guess what? If you are getting the kind of customers that are willing to spend $100,000 over the course of the next 10 years, right? What else are they willing to spend money on? How else can you expand that business? How else? What other partnerships can you create that'll make it so that it's more valuable for you, right? So right now, this video is just about how do you create value, add the lifetime value to just people just using your own business, right? We're not even thinking about adding in extra businesses and extra partnerships, right? But you got to expand your mind in terms of what it means, right? Because you can either continue to be on this rat race of this hamster wheel of just making the same, like putting the same amount of effort to get the same amount of customers and just keep drilling yourself like this, or you can be working to create lifetime customers where they're worth so much more so that they'll be around in 10, 20 years, right? And you'll keep adding how many people are around in 10, 20 years to the point where you have so many lifetime customers that it'll only make sense. You can expand another location. You'll have that one booked before it's even open, right? You'll be able to expand to multiple places. You'll be able to afford having virtual assistants do the work for you. You won't necessarily need to be there because you can have a person clean the place and you don't need, right? You have enough revenue that you can invest into the growth of your business, right? That's the idea. Okay, so think about those ways. What are, and this is a challenge or homework for you right now, right? I'm going to keep it simple. What are 3 ways you can make? I actually challenge the top 5% to find 10 different ways to be able to maximize the amount of money, right? What are 10 different ways? If you're lazy, 3. But if you're lazy, you shouldn't, it's not going to work for you, right? But 10 different ways that you can maximize the amount of money that you get out of every customer conversation, because you're going to have to do them either way. You might as well get paid more for each one. Okay. All right. Start writing those notes before you move on to the next video. Have those 10 down, and you can go ahead and submit them through the course portal. Okay, let's get started. Now, if you're like most people, you probably are thinking, Jesus, this is going to be a lot of work, right? And I know that, we're giving this whole thing away because we know that really only the top 5% of people are even going to start doing any of this. And we know even the top 5% are going to go down the path of beginning, and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is so much work. Why don't I just pay them to do this for us, right? So we know that. So that's why we're here. So if you are that type 5% that's too busy to be able to implement all these things, but you understand the value of it, just apply to talk to us and we will do it with you, right? Make your life simpler and we can have a meaningful partnership. Now, there's 2 situations that you're going to be in as a business owner, right? Either you're going to have the money, in which case you probably don't have the time, which means you need help, which means you should apply, right? Or you won't have the money, but that means you have a lot of time, which means you have all the information in this course to make enough money that once you are making enough money, you could just go ahead and apply so that we can help you finish the job. Okay? You got your choices. Either way, we're going to win. And either way, you're going to win as long as you put in the work, right? Now, we know most people are not going to put in the work. So, for those people who just are going to watch and not do anything, that's okay. We'll just eventually, the people who do things will just take your business. It's just the nature of it. Sorry. Either you're going to be floundering for a while, or the people who are really serious about this whole thing are just going to we'll just take your customers, and then eventually you won't be able to pay your rent, and then we'll just take the space and we'll just book it, the way that we've booked our own. You know what I mean? So either way, the people who take action are going to win, and the people who don't are going to be in the same situation. This is life. All right. So take action if you're ready to. If you're that top 5%, just and you don't want to take. You don't have the time to do all this. Just apply for a time to talk. If you're in the bottom 95%, just listen, and then some of you guys will act, and that would be great. And once you're ready to start growing, just apply, and then we'll get this going. Okay. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have fun, and remember, you got 10 things, 10 pieces. How are you going to maximize the amount of money you guys make from every single customer? All right.